Hello, Lynn Watts here with Wyeth Wonder Dog Books. And today I want to talk about goal setting. And in particular, I want to talk about how to set goals that are motivating to students. Before I get started, let me just let you know that both of my lesson plan books, all right, so I've got volume one and volume two, all right, so you can see they have the same picture on them, but the color's a little different to distinguish them. Both of them have lesson plans on goal setting. And all of my lesson plan books are aligned with ASCA standards. They all have discussion, potential materials that you could read to students. They have activities that are designated for different grade levels. So if you're looking for a way to make what I talk about in this video very practical, I'd encourage you to take a look at those lesson plans in my lesson plan books. All right. So let's just talk first about how important goal setting is. I think it is a great skill that we can teach students, especially because it's something that will be valuable to them throughout their lives. So if they can learn how to set achievable goals, as a young student, then as adults, they can carry that skill on. So it's really a kind of a cornerstone of success. The trick is to help students create goals that are motivating for them and that then they will actually want to put in the effort to achieve, not just a lesson in the classroom to fill out some worksheet or whatever, and then not really do anything about it, but rather something that they can experience some success in, and then say, hey, this was a good plan. I had to do this with, fill in the blank. So it doesn't have to be an academic goal. It could be a goal in any area of life. And in fact, I would encourage you to help them set a goal that is really meaningful to them rather than just an example of an academic goal that perhaps they really don't feel that motivated to achieve. Now, maybe they do. Maybe that's exactly what they need, is how to set a goal and then how to follow through on the steps to being successful. But especially for an initial lesson in goal setting, I would have the students pick a goal that is highly motivating to them, because they're much more likely to stay engaged with it, to persist through all the challenges that we experience when we set a goal, and to really take ownership of that goal rather than just being an exercise in the classroom. All right, so the three really important questions in any goal setting, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this here, but the three main questions are, what do I want to achieve? All right, so that's the end result, the goal. The second one that I'm not sure we always ask, but is really important, why does it matter to me? All right, so I would kind of help them tease that out. What is it about that makes it really something that I'm really committed to or can be committed to, and why does it matter? And then the final one, which of course is necessary for being successful, is what are the steps that it's going to take to achieve those goals. All right. So those are three things that you're definitely going to want to spend some time talking about as you help them choose a goal. Then the other thing I want to talk about in this video is some strategies that you can use to help keep students motivated once they establish a goal. So this is generally not a one-time lesson. It's rather something that you're going to come back to periodically and see how they're doing with that goal. So you want to have follow through with it. So the first thing that I would say is to celebrate progress, not just the outcome. And one way of looking at this is to celebrate goal or gain, not just accomplishing the goal. So what is the gain that you have made? So I think this is pretty obvious, but for example, if a goal is to score so many points in a soccer game, for instance, that could be a goal. Then each time you check in on that goal, it's not just to say, well, did you make it? All right. You want to score X number of points. You want to say, have you scored more points? Are you making progress toward working toward that goal? All right. So that's number one. celebrate progress, not just the final outcome. Secondly, you want to break goals into small, manageable steps. And so, obviously, let's say, again, using that example of scoring so many goals, you might want to break down how you score a goal. All right. So, what are the specific strategies that you need to practice? What are the, specific movements that you want to practice? And how are you going to practice those things, at home or when you go to practice for soccer? How are you going to make those individual steps that it takes to actually accomplishing the goal? It's not just a matter of, show up for a game, kick in a goal, you made it. It's what is the effort that it's going to take? What are the steps it's going to take? A third thing to do to keep students motivated is to help them have some sort of visual reminder to keep the goal top of mind. So it could be that you have the goal written out and you have it almost like a poster somewhere that they have at home. It might be on their desk that they have that goal. There, you can use all kinds of different trackers. You can use a thermometer showing how far they are. You can use some sort of graph to get there, whatever works for that age group, but have some sort of visual reminder that helps them keep the goal top of mind, and also, I think, helps them track progress. So this number 3 is also related to number 1. The fourth thing is you can use an accountability partner. This is a great thing to do in class, where perhaps you partner students up and they check in with their partner on a regular basis as to, what they've accomplished, what they hope to accomplish in the next week, the next month. You can set it up in any particular way. But I think using an accountability partner and using a peer, I think, can be especially rewarding. You could use an adult, of course. If you're the counselor and you set up individually a goal with someone, they could check in with you, and then of course you can give them some counseling, some coaching as they move toward that goal. But there is some advantage also in kind of a peer accountability as well. So you might think about that. And then finally, I think to keep students motivated, connect that goal to what they care about. So, making sure that there is some aspect of what they enjoy about the goal. It's hard to stick with a goal if you're working on something that you absolutely hate to do, right? Now, sometimes we have to set goals like that for ourselves just to accomplish something else. But I would start with something they enjoy, just to help them learn about how goals can help them be successful. So something they enjoy, something they feel proud of. It needs to have a little bit of struggle in it. So it needs to be something that is hard, but not so hard that they're going to want to give up. So it feels hard, but it's important. And finally, something they want to get better at. So there is that kind of inherent internal motivation, and that will keep them persistent at accomplishing the goal. All right. So I think there's some particular questions you can use to support ongoing motivation. You can ask students what worked, what's working, what worked last week to get to that milestone. We can continue to say what's challenging or what's hard, and also helping them plan how to be successful in the future. What will you try next? All right. So when they are still striving for the goal, you want to help them sort of plan for the future or the next day, the next week, the next month and constantly being using critical thinking and problem solving and thinking, what are you going to try next? All right. So I think those are some great ways to help students not only set goals, but stay motivated and persevere with their goals until they are successful. As always, thanks for all the wonderful things that you do with children, and thanks for listening.